So I have already exported my username and password onto these machines by pausing my video. What I'm going to do is do the subscription process on all machines at once. I need to do it with sudo. So everything should be subscribing to RHN now. It's good. Looks like I'm done on all machines. And then I need to look at the pool ID which has Openshift in it. So I'm listing all the available matches, and this is a pool ID that matches all. So take that and then export pool ID equals to value. Okay, and then I need to attach. Actually, I can do like a root. I can go root and then do all these activities using a root privilege. So what we're going to do is disable everything first, like disable all the repos and then enable only what is needed. That's what we're going to do. So take this command. I'm waiting on two more things to get completed. But all you do is basically enable rel RPMs and also the OpenShift 3.5 RPMs, and then you install a wizard tool or the OpenShift installation tool called Atomic OpenShift installer using this repo, Atomic OpenShift utils, and then get started with the install. So looks like one of them is failed. So let me do this again. This should be good this time. So once you install all the required repositories, there is a section to add insecure registry IP range to the Docker. This is needed because whenever OpenShift installs the cluster, it also installs a Docker registry, and the registry IP address comes within this range. And for applications to be built and then pushed to the internal registry, you need to skip the TLS, like the security certificate checking for this IP address range. That's why we are going to have this insecure registry configuration entered into the Docker daemon configuration. Okay, looks like everything is good now. Subscriptions are attached, and then what we're going to do is disable everything and then enable only what is needed. So let me run this as root so that we can save some commands. All right, so it looks like it's completed on all machines, and the next step is to install few repositories which are needed, like wget, git. These are some basic tools that you need. And then after that, this is basically a set command which goes and updates the docker daemon configuration directly, so you don't need to go like edit manually. This takes a couple of minutes. Okay, now let's go and install Docker. This is a set command that updates the Docker daemon configuration. Let's clear that. And then the next step is to generate SSH key on master and then copy to all the nodes. Just for the sake of simplicity of generating the SSH configuration file, I'm going to run it on all machines so that it creates the default configuration files. And then from master, I need to copy the SSH key, public key, onto all other nodes. So I'm going to expand this and then copy the key onto all machines, so even to the master itself. So that's why I'm going to run this command on all machines. SSH authorized keys, then add this extra key at the end. That's it. Now master should be able to communicate with all other machines without any password. We can test that for a minute. So this is a private IP address of a node. Let's see if master is able to communicate with node or not. Looks like it is able to log in. Perfect. So come back to master. So on master, the next step is to run the Openshift installer. Um, so this particular package is already installed on master. So this needs to be done only on master. So skip it on from all other nodes. I'm going to zoom this. Says, are you ready for continuing? You say yes. So this says from master to all the nodes, what is the user ID that is getting used for to be able to go and install OpenShift cluster. So I generated key for root user, so I choose as root, but if you have any other user, you can choose that as your username here. So I'm gonna put it as a default, and then I want to install OpenShift container platform. That's good. And then this is master where I need to so OpenShift installer will basically keep asking about host names and the roles of each host name. Um, so what I'm going to do is provide all the host names inside the cluster and then decide whether that particular host is a master or a node. Okay, so obviously the first one we are going to add it as master. I can use private IP addresses, so skip the public IP address because this IP address is going to be used for all the communication. So I would choose private IP addresses if we have one, but if in case of VMs it might be like only one IP address. So put that IP address in there, and then this should be mastered because the first machine is a master. So masters, yes. So you can choose either RPM based installation or container based installation. If you choose container based installation, everything runs as containers. So even your OpenShift components will run as containers. But if you choose RPM, they run as like processes on the machine. I'm going to stick with the default RPM based. All right, and then do you want to add additional? Yes, because we have a bunch of other nodes like this one. So Yes, and this should not be master, like because I'm going to do the installation without like non-HA installation. But if it is like a HA installation, you choose as yes for this entry. For this is since this is a non-HA, I'm going to choose no. And yes, RPM based. Do you want to add additional host? Yes. And then I have a few more here, and this will be node again, an RPM installation, and I want to add more, and this should be node and RPM installation. I want to add more. This is my last node, and this is again node, not a master, and then RPM installation. And you choose no here, and then OpenShift asks for your OpenShift master public host name. What it means is where exactly is your master hosted, and then what is the public DNS name for that master. So either you can choose something like if you go to master and then choose a public IP address and then maybe put like nip.io or xip.io so that your public IP address gets some DNS name. Um, or you can, if you have something like Route 53, or if you have a DNS server handy, you can basically go and update the DNS rules there. So I have DNS already configured for my machine, for my cluster. I'm going to use that, but otherwise the process is very simple. All you need to do is get a host name for your master and give that host name there. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a host name for my master in the Route 53 entries of AWS. But like I said, it can be your VM based deployment. It can be a typical corporate one as well. So I have this host name, DNS name called ck.oscloud.com, but you can choose anything that you have access to. And then I'm going to save this record. Okay. Now my master is basically pointed to ck.oscloud.com. Okay, as simple as getting a DNS name for your master. That's it. If you don't have a DNS name, like I said, just use the xip.io host name. So either also you can give just the host name. That is also totally fine. So by mistake, I have given just IP address. I should have given the complete host name ck.oscloud.com, but I can go and change it later, so don't worry about it. And also OpenShift by default configures a storage based on NFS. So it is basically asking where exactly you want your NFS storage needs to be. By default, it chooses some host, I guess. So I'm going to pick the host like whatever it suggests. Um, that's good. And the next thing is default subdomain for your apps. So all your applications that get deployed on OpenShift will have a wildcard DNS bagged name. So in my case, I'm going to choose some DNS name called apps.ck.oscloud.com. But this subdomain again can be your master dot uh, nip.io or xip.io, so that they automatically get a wildcard DNS, like if you don't have access to a real DNS server. In my case, I have a real DNS server, which is basically apps.oscloud.com. Um, what I'm going to do is use this name as my uh, application's host name. Okay. Um, so typically this host name again is pointed to master. So even this points to master. If you want to run Openshift master on 8443 port and the default router on 443 port. Okay, so what it means is if we have master and router sitting on the same node, then sorry, then you might choose to run OpenShift on OpenShift master on 8443 port and your router on 443 port. But in my case, what I want to do is I want to get a a HTTPS 443 port for my master. So that's why I'm going to run my router on a different node other than master. Okay, so that's why I'm going to point this apps.ck.oacloud.com to a different node. You can pick any node you want, or you can dedicate machines for this particular node. So it's totally possible. So I'm going to take the second node and then make it as the place where my router runs. So I'm going to point apps.ck.oacloud.com to this server and ending with 3890. Okay, and then save as. Since this is a wildcard DNS, so apps.ck.oacloud.com should point to the same server as that of star.apps.ck.oacloud.com. Okay, uh, if you are and then save this, so both these servers are pointing to the same server, which is this one. Okay, if you are using if you don't have access to DNS or a wildcard, it's pretty simple. All you need to do is use the hostname hostname.nip.io, so that automatically gives you a wildcard. So I'm going to use my apps.ck.oacloud.com. Okay, and then I don't have any proxies for this. If you have any proxy, you need to submit that here, both HTTP and HTTPS proxy. And then now the OpenShift installer or the wizard goes to each machine and then gets more information like what is the public IP address of that machine and also the different configuration that it needs. So it is now doing all the lookup using Ansible, and it will generate a installer like inventory file. Okay, um, during the overview we have looked at the inventory file. That's what it is going to create. Like this wizard is going to create the inventory file, and after that we can run the installation. Okay, so instead of hand coding that inventory file, you can use this wizard to basically generate that inventory file. So give it a couple of seconds and then we'll look into the different options. So the simplest possible installation can be just this one. Like you can just press next, 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 and then it goes and installs. That is totally possible. But I want few more add-ons to be deployed, like metrics, logging, and like some other pieces as well to be deployed on this cluster. That's why I'm going to stop the install. Like before it proceeds, I'm going to halt it and then update my configurations and then kick off the installation again. Okay, but otherwise you can just press yes, yes, and then the installation should be done automatically. And just pray yes, and then it's asked for whether to continue the installation or not. I'm going to choose no, like I said, because I want to do some customizations. Okay, it has generated a file called atomic OpenShift installer cfg.yml. It also generates another file for advanced installation. Since I use the wizard, I'm going to use only this file. Okay, so when you make changes to this file, this automatically goes and makes the changes onto the other file. So you don't need to like I've changed this file whether I need to update this or not. So don't worry about it. If you're using wizard and making changes to this file, it automatically goes and updates the other inventory file which is used as part of the advanced installations. So if we take a look inside this all this information is auto generated. This is a It's typically a YML file, and then you can see different options that we have chosen are configured here. Like I said, the master cluster host name that you see, I can change it to, like, I can put it as IP address, or I can change it to the default host name which I've chosen for the master, which is ck.oacloud.com. So I can totally configure here and then make all these changes here. Okay. And when OpenShift installs a router, it looks at the some labels called like node region equal to infra, and the node which is hosting the router should be having that label. Okay. Now you can see I have two machines with region equal to infra. I just don't want to run router on two machines because my wildcard domain is only pointed to one of the machines, which is nothing but ending with 90. So I'm going to mark the other one as infra something, like infra 1 or something like that. But if you have a HA environment, you can totally put this, and then it goes and it puts the router on two of those machines. Okay. So this is what you have on the inventory file. So some other options, like I said, I want to install uh, router, like the registry console, and then metrics and some other bunch of features. That's why I'm going to update some of the uh, like variables here, okay, global variables. So the master default subdomain, I guess it is already configured. It should be somewhere. Otherwise, we can just update again. So that's not a um, deal. So I need to update with the right values. There is no equal to here. Say, yeah, ck.oacloud.com. And then the node selector. This is more of a, like, if you want to have workloads to be defined only on the some sets of nodes, you basically choose this. For now, I'm just going to skip that. This is what I'm interested in. There is a O missing here. Just be careful. So instead of equals to, I have. So what this does is it means I want to install uh, router and then registry, and then in the next step we are going to tell OpenShift to uh, install uh, metrics as well, like this OpenShift metrics deploy. We need to update some of the parameters here. So instead of this hawkler.apps.oacloud.com, you need to choose the apps.ck.oacloud.com. So just make sure you have the right value there. Okay, so this is for your metrics, and then, like I said, there is no equal to sign there. So we are making like slightly advanced installation instead of the default installation. That is why we are doing all these manual changes. But if you want to go with the default install, you don't need all this stuff. And then if you want to install logging as well, the EFK based logging, you supply these two parameters, then it will it will install logging as well for your cluster. Okay, and then the right URL is kibana.apps.my domain, wildcard domain. That's it. And then by default, what OpenShift does is it installs master on 8443 port and then router on 443 port. What I want to do is install OpenShift on uh, OpenShift onto a 443 port, like the OpenShift master as well. That's why I'm going to use the two more parameters. Let me pull them out. I'm going to update that document after this, but this is a parameter OpenShift master API port. So instead of 8443, I'm going to choose 443, and then there is console port, which is basically the UI port, which is strange. Like need to put these two parameters to make it work. Okay, so now that my whole setup is ready, I'm going to take a backup of this configuration just in case. Okay, so we have the entire inventory file ready. What I'm going to do is run OpenShift installer in a unattended mode. So put -u and then install. So it is going to use the same installer file that you have changed or configured, and then it goes and installs OpenShift on all the nodes. As simple as that. Okay, now it is going to do the OpenShift playbook run and everything which is needed as part of the OpenShift installation. Like I said, you can use the same inventory file and do a advanced installation using, like, you can run that playbook manually, but this wizard will take that for you. So the whole installation process takes about I would say 15 to 20 minutes typically, or it might, like, based on the network it differs, but it may go up to half an hour. um, it all depends on the network, like how fast your network is able to pull all the dependencies, and also sometimes on the CPU as well. Okay, so we'll pause here and then come back after the installation is done.